At noon of June 30th, President-elect Bongbong Marcos officially assumes power. Malacañang promises a smooth transition with the executive secretaries of the outgoing and incoming presidents at the helm. Salvador Medaldea will lead the Duterte team and Vic Rodriguez for the Marcos side. Marcos is filling up his cabinet portfolios one by one with these officials you see right now on your screens, advising him on agency matters and serving as the face of their departments. One of them joins us tonight. Let's bring in Alfredo Pascual for the Trade and Industry Department. Mr. Pascual, thank you so much for joining us and congratulations on the appointment.
Thank you, Rico. Good evening.
Have discussions already started for the transition with outgoing Secretary Mon Lopez?
Surely it has. Just this morning, I was on the phone with him, and we have agreed on how we will go about the transition. He will be sending me materials during the next couple of weeks, and then by 2 weeks from now, we will sit down and spend time face to face.
What's your top 3 agenda, incoming secretary, once you take over the Department of Trade and Industry?
Well, number one, I'd like to see what's going on, what can be continued, and what can be improved. Secondly, I have to know the people and see whether there is a need to bring in new talents from outside. And third, I will have to create a vision that will direct the energies of the department.
And of course, one of the key platforms during the Mon Lopez administration was to support micro, small, and medium enterprises. They were hard hit, Mr. Pascual, during the pandemic. Will you also give them 100% of your support for them to recover?
Surely. You know, a big portion of our population generate income from SMEs, MSMEs, and we need to help them recover. They've been hard hit, they have very little reserves, and there is a need to provide support. So that's one program or focus of the administration of Secretary Lopez that I will continue and enhance to the extent I can.
There are still millions of our kababayans, Mr. Pascual, who are jobless and underemployed. How do you plan to help generate more jobs?
The generation of jobs, of course, will start with reviving what we already have. Okay, and then the attraction, we need to attract more investment from our local investors as well as foreign investors. But these latter exercises will take longer. In the long run, also, we need to inject more technology into our economy so that we'll be creating greater value added in our industries. I'd like our DTI to be the purveyor of technology in the Philippine economy.
Is there a need for another stimulus package from the government? We had Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2 during the pandemic under the Duterte administration. Is there a need for a third big, massive package to jumpstart the economy and help the micro, small, and medium enterprises?
There is such idea that we are mulling over, and we will surely consider that possibility if that will be what it takes, to jumpstart the economy, particularly in the MSME sector.
Have you already spoken with the rest of the economic team? You have incoming Finance Secretary Ben Jokno, Arsenio Balisacan, the NEDA Secretary General. Have you already started talking to them about what could be the plans of the future administration to jumpstart the economy?
Well, we'll just, our nomination was announced only yesterday, and we have not had the chance to get together as yet. But I understand that the first meeting of the cabinet members is being planned sometime soon. So that will happen. I think what's needed also is to mobilize the support of the private sector. And I've already started discussions with private sector groups that can help address the needs of MSMEs in the area of financing and the area of productivity enhancement.
Mr. Pascual, how can we further temper rising prices of goods and services?
Oh, that's a big challenge. As has been explained earlier, I think the president-elect mentioned it, that in the long run, we need to improve our productivity, our farm production, for example, for production of food, and the productivity of our industries for the production of other consumer products.
And do you agree with the President-elect, Marcos Jr., that RCEP has to be reviewed because the agri-sector could be at a disadvantage here?
Well, there have been reviews that have already made. I think it's a matter of getting all the stakeholders together and agreeing on what is a real impediment and what's just misunderstood at this point.
Yeah, because Trade Secretary Mon Lopez has said that that the ratification of the RCEP should not be stopped. It will not do the country any good. RCEP is safe for agriculture, maybe because no new sensitive agriculture products were included in this RCEP.
Yes, that's one argument why we can go ahead, with the ratification by the Senate of RCEP, because the impact on the agricultural sector is not as being imagined. In fact, MAP, which I now head, I will head up to the end of June, has taken a position in favor of RCEP.
And how can we further improve the ease of doing business in the country? A lot of foreign investors want to invest in the Philippines, but it seems like it still needs a lot of fine-tuning. I mean, if you compare us to Singapore, it still takes weeks to set up a business in the country. Not like in Singapore, it just takes a few days.
Yes, that's an area that will be addressed by DTI. And I'm working closely with business groups that are making studies on their own and making suggestions. In fact, MAP itself has a list of recommendations on easing of business in the Philippines.
And what are these recommendations from the business sector that you would like to implement in the ease of doing business when you become DTI Secretary, sir?
Well, there is this idea of improving the delivery of public services. Some can be done quickly, the others may take time, because ultimately, as I see it, the solution for effective and efficient government action on, say, business registration can be achieved through digitalization. And there are already platforms that have been tried in many LGUs. And it's a matter of really replicating this in all the, starting with the LGUs that are a favorite location for businesses. And there have been other ideas like one-time only data entry, instead of getting an applicant for registration going to different offices. There is just to be one, and that can be achieved, with digitalization. And one idea that I have been toying around is that for small businesses, probably the requirements for registration can be waived, for the first few years, and only get them to submit to regulatory requirements as soon as they are able to take off the ground and generate profitability.
Hopefully, and keeping our fingers crossed that you will be able to implement these reforms in the ease of doing business, Mr. Pascual, so we can see more foreign direct investments in the country. You also played a
Yes.
key role in public-private partnership to aid in pandemic response. How can we further strengthen this partnership under the Marcos administration?
Well, as I have already mentioned, the support that we intend to give to MSMEs will involve private sector groups that I am now talking to. And that's one public-private partnership for SMEs. But there's also the public-private partnership in infrastructure development. I think that we should give greater emphasis given the tight fiscal space that the country is in.
All the best, incoming Trade and Industry Secretary Alfredo Pascual.